Welcome to another edition of Fall Rise Give. I'm Bartender Bob. That is Kumar. We today are talking about the seventh chakra. We've worked our way all the way up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're up to 7, which is the crown chakra, which is the one that oversees basically everything. Am I right, Kumar?
It's everything in your system. It's the most powerful chakra to open up, and it's kind of where you connect to the higher self or the divine or God or whatever you want to call it. Try to get that God energy into your system. Mm-hmm. You want to open that up so that you're connected to your higher purpose.
So what kind of things can people do to do that?
That's a great question. So we've talked about the root chakra using the word acceptance. We talked about the sacral chakra using the word desire. We talked about the solar chakra using the word power and trust. We talked about the heart chakra, forgiveness and compassion. Then we talked about the throat chakra, which is connection and influence. And we talked about the sixth chakra last week, all about intuition and connected to the divine. This one is all about abundance and gratitude. So this is where you get your abundant attitude and that you have more than enough, ability to connect to your higher purpose. And how you open it up is, we talked about the meditation exercise last week, right? We did the breathing. Mm-hmm. So as you breathe, and as you get into that zone, you ask your higher power to open up your chakra and flow in. What I do is to be able to say, pour in the abundant white light into my system and open up and help me connect to the divine through opening up the chakra and get me more gratitude and blessings, and really getting the white light into my system. So I like to have the white light flow through my system, through my crown, kind of opening it up with my hands in a way. And raising your hands in one way, like I'm doing with my hands, opening it up, and then having it flow through the rest of your body. That's really the simplest way, concentrating on connecting to the higher divine and asking for abundance and gratitude.
Isn't a lot of times that I think that we as Americans have a lot of abundance and have a lot of things in our lives, and maybe not saying that, thank you for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times that we have so many things, overabundance, I think, is probably a problem that we have here in the United States.
I think we have abundance. We just don't realize it.
And that's the unfortunate thing. 'Cause, I mean, we have the abundance, we have the over as well. If you go through any town, even my town of 191 people, there is a storage shed right down the road from where I live. So, I mean, people have their stuff in there. So they have the abundance of things in their house, then they've got more abundance than they need, and they have stuff there. And to me, I think a lot of that stuff just weighs you down.
Yeah, I think the attitude of abundance is different. You already have enough. You probably don't want to collect more stuff. So attitude of abundance is not about collecting more stuff. It's more about having and connecting to your higher purpose and to be able to give back once you have enough. As the attitude of gratitude that I'm thankful for everything that I have.
That's the give part of the Fall Rise Give that we do then.
Yeah. Once you receive it from the higher powers, then it's the gratitude that you have. And you can use it to, the more you give, the more you receive. Kind of a karma attitude. People who tend to give more tend to receive more. As you open up your hands to give to someone, you tend to receive. Your hands are open. So opening up the chakra through a mantra of saying, I'm connected to my higher power. Let the abundance flow through my system, through my crown, and down to my body, allows me to be much more open to receiving and being grateful and not wanting more stuff. It's really aligning to your purpose, whatever your purpose is in your life, your soul's destiny, whatever your destiny thing is. It's really connecting to that higher purpose.
Because I'm thinking that a lot of people were probably thinking like I was, it's like, well, we have abundance. I have all of this stuff, yeah. But it's just just accepting what powers are out there, or what your God has to give to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and people want more. It's not about having more stuff. It's more about an attitude of abundance and gratefulness for the things that you do have. And it's okay to want more money for a lot of people, right? We talk about money and mantras and things like that in the past. And people want more, but shouldn't necessarily want more stuff. It's more of the things that make you happy, more experiences, more of who you really want to be, freedom of time, sense of security, things like that.
It's funny you mentioned the whole time thing. I know that in the past, I've always personally been more time than money. I'd rather give my time to somebody than money, just because my time is worth a lot more than the amount of dollars that I can give. My time is finite. I've only got so many hours on this earth to live, and I try to live by being the best person that I can be. I know that we all falter and we all have our downs, and I try to have more ups than downs, and time is something that we all have just this amount. We're here from here to here, and we can leave our mark on this world in a good positive way, or we can leave our mark on this world in a bad way. And I want people to remember, Bob Schmidt in the future as, and he was a good guy. He brought forth, the things that I've done, the kids that I've brought into this world, that's kind of how I'd like to be remembered in the future,
Yeah. It's kind of, Bob brought more joy to the world than he took away from it, right? Bob wasn't a selfish guy. Right. He was more grateful. He was kind, compassionate, aligning with your higher purpose of who you are, family, and your family members and your close partners are really important to you, and the kids and the grandkids, right? So it's aligned to your higher purpose. How you do that is by opening it up, and you surrender. You surrender to a higher power, and you let it guide you. You let it guide you to through meditation, and as we talked about it, the breathing exercises, the Raja Pranayam, where you breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds, and then you hold it in for 16 seconds, and you exhale through your mouth, and you do that 10 times, and then you get in this meditative state, and then you just, as you do your mantras and as you open it up, we'll talk more about that, about aligning and things and other. We talk about opening up the chakras in this set of series, but in the season 3, the next, we're going to be aligning more to your higher purpose, aligning more to the areas of abundance that you need.
How do we prepare ourselves to surrender then? Because I know that a lot of times people don't want to be seen as weak. And when you surrender, a lot of times in your mind, you're thinking, well, if I surrender, I'm being weak. But that's not the case, right? When you're surrendering in this situation, you're surrendering by giving yourself. And to that helps you to become a better person.
Yeah. Have you noticed people who are insecure? They try to control things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? They try to control the situation. They try to control their behavior. They try to do all of this control stuff, control other people. Surrendering takes a lot more courage because you're letting go. You're letting a higher power do its thing, where you're waiting in anticipation for something greater than yourself. And surrendering takes, there's a great song by U2, the band that we talked about, Bad. The song is called Bad, but it's a really good song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. And he talks about letting go of, I wish I could let go. And so letting go and surrendering can be very hard. But as a lot of people find out who do let go and let a higher power direct their thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and actions, you do end up in a place where you're more aligned with your higher purpose than if you're just trying to control a situation at work or at home or out and about with your other friends. Nobody likes people who are controlling.
No, they really don't. I know that we've talked in the past about letting go and surrendering to things. And you'd mentioned like the forgiveness thing. I know that when I forgave one of my ex employers, my whole life opened up, man. It certainly, Kumar. As soon as I let that go, and I know I've talked about this in the past, but as soon as I let it go, things started opening up for me. And to me that's crazy that was even a thing.
Yeah. No, we talked about there's different principles for each chakra and how letting go and surrendering. This one is really all about surrendering to a higher power. Like for you right now, what's the most important thing that you want out of life right now? That's a question that
I just want my granddaughter to get better.
And so for her to get better, what do you need?
I don't know. I guess I don't know the answer to that question.
Surrendering to a higher power and surrendering to say, okay, God, it's in your hands. I can't control the situation. I can't make her better, but God Almighty has the power to be able to do that. And through doctors, through modern medicine, all of those things that God has created, you're able to get what you need.
And I guess in a way, without me even knowing that I was doing that because I've been saying my prayers every day. I've been thinking about it, and doing a lot of. You call it meditating. I call it just kind of being within myself.
Yeah, same thing.
I've been doing a lot of that, just with the the thought process of the whole thing, and the praying, and the thinking. Thank God for the doctors. Thank God for the the ability to have her be at where she is, and and those types of things. I guess I was surrendering without even knowing that I was surrendering.
And exactly. So I think the key thing is when you surrender to a higher power, you do it in your daily actions, in your daily thoughts, in your daily behaviors. It's not really about it is about sitting down and thinking about it and surrendering, but it's also in how you go about doing it and how you live. You and I are two successful guys. You've got a lot of abundant lifestyle. You've got a cabin. You've got a house. You've got a couple of cars, a motorcycle. But most important thing is you have relationships with your family members, right? You've got a great family.
Correct.
You've got a lot of great things to be grateful for. And you're living an abundant life. And to be able to do that, like you said, you surrender in a daily basis through your actions.
Mm-hmm.
My question to most people is when they block themselves from surrendering, what is it that blocks them? That's something that people have to answer for themselves. It's like, what is it? Am I trying to control the situation? Am I trying to direct outcomes when I don't have the power to do so? You can make all the plans in the world, but things might change. I've talked about in the past, there's death, taxes, and change. Those are the three constants in life. So change is a big one that'll come up to you, and you can be driving on one side of the street. Next thing you know, you get hit by a car, whatever, right? It's just your life can change on a momentary basis. And so for us to be able to surrender to a higher power, trust, and then go about aligning with our true purpose, we've got to really have the attitude of abundance and gratefulness to be able to walk through.
How do we align all this stuff? Because I know that sometimes things get unaligned, and you're thinking like you said, you're going for a walk, you get hit by a car. How do you align all of your chakras and your crown chakra so that way everything is bang, 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 bang all the way through your whole body?
So you start out with abundance and gratitude, and then you look for divine intuition, right? That's the sixth chakra.
Mm-hmm.
You look for God's insight into what is going on for you. What's the next action or the right action, the next step you should take. And then when you out, the throat chakra is all about communication and influence. So you're connecting with others on what you need, what you want out of the relationships, out of a business partnership, whatever that is. And then you open yourself up through forgiveness and compassion by giving more to people than what you receive. You tend to get more out of life than what you want. Then you get your personal power through the solar chakra. Then you take action. That's all about taking action. Action is really what determines your. Oftentimes you could be feeling crappy, but then you go out for a walk or go out a workout or get your work done at work, and you feel a lot better. You feel a sense of accomplishment. Your thoughts change. So that's all about. And then the desire. What is it that you want next in your life? Nothing wrong with having desires. They actually fuel your passions and fuel your thing. And lastly, accept. Don't worry about the outcome. Be grounded in accepting everything and expecting nothing, right? Expecting causes more problems, and accepting allows you to be in a state of surrender in a way, really. So we just talked about a series of ways that you can actually go ahead and align yourself to live the life of your purpose. Accepting is where's the bottom. Abundance is at the top.
So this is going to be a weird question, and maybe it's been talked about by the scholars and whatnot. But to me, it seems like they're, because we started off at grounding and we ended up with crown, but the way you just explained it, it started from the crown and worked its way down. So are they kind of backwards? I mean,
That's funny.
You're smiling right now. So has this been discussed before, or is this just?
Yeah, no. It's funny that you mentioned that. A lot of people believe the Kundalini yoga that we've talked about, the energy movement. You start out through breathing exercises and meditation, and movement through acceptance and being grounded, and you move the Kundalini energy up to your heart. That's your physical body, lower chakras. And the upper chakras are the crown. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of knowledge-based coaching by a Kundalini instructor or practice or a guru or whatever you want to call them to go from bottom all the way to the top. But it's easier to go from the bottom to the center of your heart and then from top down towards your heart. So you're right. I smiled because they do go back and forth. And in my chakra meditation, I talk about it going from the top down to the bottom. Because at the end of the day, you want to be grounded.
The way you explained it was awesome. I mean, the way that you explained it just a few minutes ago, that's why I asked that, because it seemed like it's like if you take a glass of water and pour it in a funnel, it just works its way, it works its way down. And that's, to me, it made perfect sense the way that you explained it. And then, how you say that it goes up to the heart too. I could actually see both of those ways. I could see the bottoms up and top down, and I can see the top down, and I can see the bottom up. It's crazy how they're just kind of not interchangeable, but they all work together.
Yeah, they work together. The biggest thing I can tell you, and we'll talk more about that, and we'll spend more thought on it. We're leading our listeners into it already. Opening them up is the first step. Aligning them from top to bottom is kind of the meditative approach that I take. At the end of the day, the most important thing you can do is be grounded in who you are and what you are. That's the end result, being calm, centered, and loving, right? To get there, you start out with the top, opening the light as I raise my hands above my crown, and you work through abundance and gratitude, and then you work through divine intuition and all of those things. That's how I do it. But through Kundalini yoga and practice, they talk about raising them up from the bottom up. That's a higher level of, we've talked about it. We're like talking about chakras for dummies. For the mainstream, we're not here to give you a Kundalini yoga expert advice. We recommend for you to go further down that path and through that healing process. But we should call our book "Chakra for Dummies" or our podcast "Chakras for Dummies."
One of the things you just said too was be your true self.
Not that we're dumb, but we're trying to simplify it.
Yeah, well, I am. When it comes to this stuff, I don't know. I knew nothing about. I mean, I heard the word chakra prior to us doing the podcast, but I had no idea what they were. And it wasn't something that I read about or learned about or heard about, and it makes a lot of sense. But to backtrack just a couple seconds, to be your true self, that's something that I think that a lot of us have a hard time doing, because we put on our, you think about it when you get up in the morning, you get ready, you make yourself look good before you walk out the door, and you're not walking out there with your bed head and your hair in disarray and your clothes unshoveled or whatever, disheveled. You're going out there and you're trying to present a good look of yourself. And for a lot of us, that's who we are. But I mean, some people, they're just not. I don't know where I'm going with this, really. I don't. But so just trying to be your true self.
Being your authentic true self is very hard to do because society has rules and there's external expectations of you. Let's say you go out there and you're disheveled. You could be being authentic for that day. You could be walking out there. But people are going to think of you in a certain way. So society and external factors have a lot of influence in how we're not respected, but maybe respected, but more importantly, thought of.
Perceived, how we're perceived.
How we're perceived. That's the right word. So how we're perceived is a big thing. So we go out there putting our best foot forward. But putting your most authentic self out there means that you have to be honest with yourself. You have to accept who you are. You have to love who you are, and then be very clear and aligned with your desires, with your true power, with your true compassion, with your true connection with other people. You go about daily being your true self. It's a process. And what we've talked about so far is opening up these chakras. We haven't aligned them together. So we'll spend some time in the next few weeks as we go down this journey of what does it mean to align yourself. Getting to be your true self has always been a theme of this chakra based podcast. We went off in season 1, recovery and helping people overcome recovery and addiction. But really, it's been the theme all along, and how we go about becoming our true self. And so aligning our energies, aligning our psyche, our mind, body, and soul through these Western principles connected to the Hindu chakra system. That's what we've been talking about for the last year and a half.
What about the days when we're feeling disconnected from everything? Because we all have those days when you wake up, you're like, you know what? I don't feel like doing anything today. I just want to just leave me alone. I'm not checking my texts. I'm not going on the phone. I'm not. Leave me alone. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to get rest, first of all. So if you've been going 8 to 6 at your work week, or if you've been going hardcore on your whatever work that you're doing, you're bartending at night, you're exhausted, it's important to recognize that you're giving yourself a break. And so giving yourself a break for a day or half a day, a lot of the Christian and Judaism, and I think even in Eastern philosophy, they talk about day of rest, right? The Sabbath. It's important to give yourself a day of not doing anything to kind of refresh your brain. But ultimately, you won't need that as much if you are aligned and meditative. You will walk in nature. You will do all those things on a regular daily basis. You won't be exhausted at the end of the week. Like, I work out every morning. I'm not a super fit guy, but I work out every morning for an hour in the gym. That's just something I do. And I meditate. I don't eat ice cream as much anymore, which we talked about.
You didn't say at all. I just not as much.
Not as much. And so I haven't had ice cream for a couple of weeks, and I've lost a little bit of weight extra because of that. But the point being is that we do these daily activities so we can continue on. But there are days where, like Saturdays for me, is all about college football. I spend my day and I watch my Washington Huskies lose yesterday to Michigan in a pretty bad way. But it didn't bring me down, because my expectations were, I want this team to do great, but I accept the fact that they're not as good. They're not who I thought they were. They're not a great team. They're a good team. It's hard to go into enemy territory in the big house in Michigan in front of 95,000 people and win a game. So accepting that fact allowed me not to have a depressed day. So when we're feeling down, when we're having a rough day, it's okay to take a break. And then I think it's really important to move your body. We've talked about aligning yourself, key to happiness, all of those things, right? Is physical activity, movement. 20-minute walk will give you 60% of the benefits, 70% of the benefits of somebody working out in the gym for an hour and a half. So going for a 20-minute walk, they taught us that in middle school. I don't know if you remember that or not. I remember the gym teacher saying a 12 to 20-minute walk gives you the benefit of an exercise for a whole day. And that's what they said. I
don't remember that.
I remember that from the gym teacher back at Parkview Middle School. Did you go to the Parkview Middle School, or did you go to a different school?
I did go to Parkview.
Yeah. And so that's what I remember. And that's true based on research and science. So movement. The second thing is around your diet. It's going to impact your brain chemicals. It's going to impact all that stuff. You don't have to eat perfectly, but you don't have to eat like crap either. So somewhere in the middle, a little bit of ice cream here and there is fine, but eating 3 balanced meals a day or 2 balanced meals a day, that can really help out.
The hard thing about being American is that you go outside, even in 191 people town I live in, there's 2 restaurants. They're both attached to bars. So there's greasy food. So instead of, getting a good meal, you're going to go and have a greasy spoon burger. Or instead of having a good breakfast, you're going to go have greasy eggs and toast and hash browns and sausage. And so sometimes it's hard for us, I think, sometimes to eat right and to try to be on that path to eating and being good.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not eating a greasy burger every day, are you?
No, oh, heck no.
Exactly.
Dude, I'm a big dude now. I would be a lot bigger of a guy if that was the case.
You're right. Exactly. So the idea is to treat yourself to a greasy burger breakfast, but not to do it every day. Make a healthy hamburger at home. I made eggs yesterday, just eggs and cheese, right? That's all I had for breakfast or for lunch, actually. I don't eat for breakfast very much. So the key for me is do enough. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I actually ended up being an e-commerce product manager at Weight Watchers.
I don't know that.
Yeah. So Weight Watchers has been around for 60 years. And as a community and helping people lose weight, and they have apps and technology now as well. But their big thing is around a balanced diet. If you're going to eat a croissant in the morning, take it easy at lunch. Have a decent meal at night. If you're going to have dessert the next night, tomorrow morning, have a healthy breakfast. Don't eat the croissant again. So they try to count calories through a point system. And what they're basically saying is have a balanced approach. So it's okay to treat yourself to a greasy burger. Just don't do it every day. It's okay to not eat healthy all the time, but eat healthy most of the time. If you do it 60-70% of the time, if you feel really good 60-70% of your time, that's a really good benefit a lot of us don't have. And so I think aligning yourself again to true self, number one thing, activity. Number two, diet. Guess what the number three thing is?
Time for yourself.
Time for yourself. You can do that through music. You can do that through TV. You can do that through meditation. You can do that through reading, but being with yourself and or entertaining yourself. So music has a huge impact on our emotions. That's why, music has a huge impact on our emotions. It can totally carry us. Sometimes classical music, classical Hindu music or classical Western music has the ability and hits certain megahertz in the brain that actually makes the brain more alive. And heavy metal has the opposite effect. It makes it alive, but maybe way too much alive. That's why you're jumping up and down in those concert pieces. So music is the other thing, and being with yourself and meditation or just reading a book, getting your brain active. So physical activity, diet, and then time for yourself.
That's the key to success right there, I believe. So what should we work on? What should, our listeners work on between now and the next podcast?
Today's was all about opening up the crown chakra. The key thing is if you can meditate or use our Raja Pranayam breathing exercises, like again, inhale for 4 seconds, keep it in your system for 16 seconds, exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds, do 10 reps of those. And then after you're done with that, focus on, I am abundant. I am grateful for everything in my life. I am connected to the divine. And if you can just feel yourself with all the abundance that you need, that you have, God has given you everything that you ever wanted in an abundant lifestyle. You've got a great roof on your shoulder. Be grateful for all the things that you do have. That way, we actually feel a sense of relief instead of focusing on lack of things that we don't have. In the Western society, we have so many things. You have a house, a television, a cell phone. You have all these amazing things that you should be proud of. And instead of focusing on the lack, you focus on abundance. You'll all automatically start off with a great day. So really opening up to abundance and being grateful will really challenge. And again, research has shown feeling grateful, making a grateful journal or gratitude journal or writing things down about gratitude can really have a huge impact on our psyche and our mind. So this is all about opening up the chakra, letting the white light in, letting the divine, surrendering to the divine, and focusing on abundance.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall, Rise, Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall, Rise, Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.